Hello everyone, Phoenix61 here with your World of Warships Legends. Let's call this an opinion piece, right? So the game's going to be turning 6 years old this year. I've been playing almost that long, and there's a few things that I think the game kind of needs or could just use to help improve it and help maintain the player base. With it being free to play, right? Some players cycle in and out, and then you've got some long-term players. And I think long-term players get kind of left behind here, right? So number one on my list, we're going to dive right in, is some sort of player progression. There's a lot that can happen in the game. There's a lot of things to work on in the game. But up here in the top right, that's my player name. There's nothing special about it that has anything else, that nobody else can have in there, right? Aside from the emblems and stuff, which are, you just get tons of those anyway, right? So you can go and you can progress through these tech tree ships for every nation. There is a ton that'll entertain you for years to come, right? But for me, it's I've kind of done most of that. You've got commanders too that you can work towards ranking up, and the game will add commanders for different collaborations, so they can charge you money for those and all that other stuff. And then there is the campaign, but the campaign is kind of more like a season or a battle pass, right? Campaigns are typically 5 weeks long, and the end reward is a ship, depending on whether or not you can get your hands on the Admiralty backing, right, which usually costs a little bit of money, right, around $10 worth of their paid currency, which is called doubloons, right? So it's just kind of, right, there's all of those things that you can work on and work towards. We do have, there's your fleet, which you may or may not even care about, you may not do, right, but if you've got some friends or whatever, you can kind of, everybody join the same fleet, and then you get some, perks and rewards as you rank up your fleet, right? But it's nothing that just playing the game more doesn't still get you, right? But it is helpful, it is nice. So if you need a fleet, you can join mine. It's Rise and Grind. It's an old Borderlands 2 reference, right? So feel free to search for me. I've got space, right? And you'll get these benefits there too, right? That's nice. And eventually we can start buying containers once we get everything, all the other resource perks maxed out, right? We can buy containers whenever we have enough oil, right? So yeah, player progression, I think, just something to have, right? So there are patches, right? There's all this stuff that you can earn throughout, but right, no one really is gonna know right after, right? Most of these are just from events and stuff like that, whether or not you've actually done well. And then I actually kind of I'm gonna change this because I like that black background. But I've had that dragon on there for the longest time, so if you see me out there, send me a message, say hello, right? But there's also there are stats, right, and medals you can earn, right, and so standard game mode is kind of your bread and butter of the game. That's where I spend the most time. I think that's the biggest event of the game, is just standard game mode, and you do get a win rate that shows you this tiny little colored shield icon, right, when you actually go and look at it. But that's it. Do a little bit better in ranked, right? My overall win rate, I don't care too much about it because I play everything. I play ships that I don't even like, just to try and get videos out there, or just to experiment with it, right? Just to have fun. I like to try and play some of everything. I think win rate could be adjusted a little bit to maybe not include, right, a game where say you were the number one loser on the team, right? So here's a game, for example, where I have the best XP score for my team, but we still lost. So largely you could blame that loss on my teammates, and then maybe you would have to adjust this sort of win rate scale. But that would make people, right, that would help a little bit, and I realize you'd have to put a disclaimer in there. It wouldn't be an actual win rate then in that situation. But I don't know, that it would make, I don't know, it would make me feel better, guys. Okay. Right? It's just kind of a win rates, it's tough to get that up, okay? So number two, that first one was kind of big, but Elite XP. This is something that the game has that I kind of hate, and it feels completely useless to me. If you don't know what this is, right, you can go up, push Y up at the top, and then you can tab over to your global XP, which is the green currency, and you can actually convert Elite XP into global XP, which is a useful currency, but it costs the doubloons to do it. It's actually on sale when I was recording this, and I think it's still not worth it. It's not, I still have never done this, so I have 61 million plus elite XP that I will never use, right? So I don't like, you know, and the reason I don't convert it is because I want the doubloons. The doubloons to me are more valuable than the global XP because that's the actual paid currency. So if I have real doubloons, I'm going to use that in the store and buy things that you can only get with doubloons. So like, that's why to me, like, this is kind of a waste, but I know somebody out there's got to be using it because it's an option here. Somebody's doing it, right? Like, so I don't know, maybe like do big like wallet warriors that want to have everything, right? You just convert that all the time, right? But yeah, so you can see up like here, we're looking at Michelangelo. You can see up towards the top left, right under where it says Michelangelo, premium cruiser, elite XP, right? We've got quite a bit there, right? Like 800,000 or whatever here. And then that your regular tech tree ships are going to have the same thing as well, right? So like here's one, this Adriatico is a tier 8. I know I'm still working through it, right? So if we go and look at my XP section right up in the top left here, it says ship XP, not global XP. So then once we get through all of the upgrades for it, then you'll start earning the elite XP on it, which to me, in my opinion, is completely pointless. So like, I don't know, maybe you could spend, right? Maybe you could spend elite XP on some sort of player ranking system, right? Like from like my number 1 example of something that Legends needs, right? So then the tier 7 we're looking at here, right now we're earning elite XP on it. You can see up in the top left there, right? So yeah, I don't ever see myself converting this, right? And there's got to be some others out there, but I know somebody's doing it. I know enough people are doing it because they leave it in the game and they put it on sale, and that probably means more people do it when it's on sale, right? But to me, I just play the game more and I save up my global XP, right, the green star currency. I save those up just by playing the game. Now, I play the game a lot, so that helps, right? Number 3 on my list is a real arcade mode. The arcade mode that you have in here, to me, is not arcade. It's just a smaller standard match. There are other like battle types that come and go with, they have like seasons for them. Like we'll see ranked quite a bit, right? Rank's been popular for them to throw out recently, and it's a good way to earn like steel. I think the rewards are kind of lacking because ranked can be pretty tough, right? So, but yeah, arena is one that I miss, right? I wish they had more arena because it was more based on like your top 10 games based on XP that you played in arena, and that's how you got your ranking in arena. But this arcade mode to me is just not like, it's not fun. Like to me, I'd rather just play standard because then it's 9 versus 9 instead of the 5 versus 5. And that way you've got more ship variety in the game. The games are like, the games are 15 minutes. I don't know what the point of arcade, right? Like if maybe it's to make them shorter and if you want to go and play a quick game, but it can still last, right? War Tales is another game variant that I know comes and goes and is popular with some people, right? It's more player versus enemy, player versus environment versus player, right? Which standard. But this is, right, there's been some events in the past. This is from the Rust and Rumble event that was last year, where we've got like missiles that we can use, right? So I think that like this is like the perfect example of, right, and the ships are all different, like everything kind of works a little bit different. I think an actual arcade mode, something similar to this with more ship variety, right? This only had like 2 or 3 different ship types you could pick from. And that was it. But there was like, there's drones that you can send, right? So I've got a drone that's going out and going to go and try and explode on that cruiser, right? And then you've got your missile launch, you've got an anti-missile like consumable, right? I think this would be the perfect place to put things like submarines in the game, right? Some people are just absolutely dreading, they don't want submarines. So you could keep them out of standard and you could put them in this arcade mode that you could have a lot more fun, unique, weird stuff going on with it, and kind of satisfy. Like, to me, this felt more arcade, right? The game overall, even standard game mode, to me feels arcade-like, right? It's just fun to do, right? But like, to me, this would be the actual arcade mode in my mind, and you could add all sorts of other stuff, right? You think about like the Halloween events and stuff like that we've had, where the ships have like different consumables, like shields, or like consumable where like if you have multiple ships on fire, you can push a button and all those fires turn into an explosion. You do damage to all those ships all at once, right? All those like different types of things And like whatever airstrikes you want to throw in here, right? This is kind of like an airstrike, really. These missiles, right? So basically, the way the missiles were working, right? If that when the missile got there, if that ship was inside that circle, it would auto track and hit that ship, right? So we're doing okay with them here, right? And then we've got like indicators similar to how torpedoes worked, right? Um, so number 4 on my list, right? An actual arcade mode, like actual arcade mode. Mix things up, throw subs in, whatever. But number 4 on my list is ship leaderboards. Now this kind of exists online, and I'll show you what I'm talking about, right? But you've got, I'm using Michelangelo as an example because I play this ship too much, right? But like, we just don't have, you know, you can go to the stats section on every ship and kind of see what your, right, you can see what your win rate is for standard mode or whatever mode you're more interested in, right? So this is a ship that I really like. I do really well with it. It's kind of my play style, so I have a better win rate with it than many others, right? So if I cared about my win rate, I would kind of only play this ship or the handful of others that I do really well in, right? So, but I don't care too much. But anyway, and then yeah, we're 81% right in ranked, because ranked you're really trying hard to get the win. I mean, not that I'm trying to lose in standard, but we typically do better, right? I play smarter versus what I do at standard. Sometimes I'm too aggressive just because I'm having fun, right? But yeah, some sort of, you can see over on the right, you can see like your max stats for like how much damage you did for your best battle, how many ships you killed, your max XP, right? And I think that like the challenge with this is they're always tweaking and balancing the mechanics of the game and the ships, right? So if a ship's performing too well, they'll nerf it, right? They'll like make the reload take longer or make the guns not do as much damage, right? They'll do things like that. And so what happens is, you know, when you think of it like overall of all time, right? When you're looking at your stats for a ship, right? Somebody might have one where they got, you know, 300,000 damage in this ship or in a particular ship, and then Wargaming, right? The developers nerf that ship, and then it's going to be almost impossible to ever get that high again, right? So I think that what my suggestion there would be to have some sort of like ship leaderboards that's based on each campaign season, right? So like, and then just have it reset with each campaign, because that's when they do the big updates and do balancing on ships anyway. So then you're kind of resetting it and everyone's starting over, and you can just try it. Like, right, if you really love a ship, you could try and play around with getting top of the leaderboard with that ship for that season, right? For that campaign season or battle pass, whatever you would want to call it, right? So that's kind of my opinion there, right? So, but yeah, you've got like all of the stuff in your service record that shows you overall, and then you've got each ship has its own stats on it as well. I feel like I do not feel like I think I played Shimikaze a lot when I first got it, which was years ago, and that's why, and some reason that's my apologies, everybody, right? But yeah, so so the campaign here, right? We're almost done with this one. We've got 13 days. You can see up in the top left, right? So this resets, and then the rewards reset once the next campaign hits, right? They're always about like 5 weeks-ish or so, sometimes longer, sometimes shorter. And you go in and you complete these renown missions to progress your way through the campaign. And then if you purchase the Admiralty backing, which is about $10 worth of the doubloons usually, you will get a premium ship at the end of the campaign as a reward, along with a bunch of other stuff too, right? So usually Admiralty backing is kind of the most efficient way to spend money in the game. You get kind of the most out of that, in my opinion, anyway. But there is a website out there, wowsbuilds.com, that does, right, this is specific to World of Warships Legends, right? There is a World of Warships wiki out there that's a little bit more PC focused though. But this one here, right, you can kind of play around with countries, look around through all the different tech tree ships. You can click on the ships and see stats for them, right? Like what it gives you the overview. It gives you, right, there's ads on here because, yeah, reasons. But yeah, we're looking at Dewa, right? So this is a newer ship, right? At least at the time of recording, right? The Japanese hybrids were kind of a newer ship addition to the game. But yeah, you'll see the stats on it, the survivability, the main battery, shell damage, like all that other fun stuff. And then there's records too. So I guess there's no records here yet for this one. So let's look at a ship that has records, right? Like, so let's click on board. You know, this ship's been out quite a bit longer. And so if we scroll, we can click on records and we'll see, right? So they track both damage and base XP records, right? And so what you can do, right? You can create an account, you can sign in here. I've done this, right? But what you would do is you would take a screenshot of your win and then upload it as proof that you got that score or that much damage, right? So pretty good damage numbers there, right? So something like this. But the challenge with this is right. We talked about this. Man, this is a big image. I don't know why it's loading so big, right? But you could click on their image and see their screenshots showing that they in fact did get 262,000 damage, right? The challenge with this, though, is like every update, there's some sort of balancing that the developers do in the game. I'm going to go look at Duncan because I think it's one that I used to have. I'm sure it's been beaten long since several times over, but like every time the game is tweaked and balancing changes happen on ships, then sometimes some of these records are going to be impossible to reach or easy to break, right? So yeah, so I'm in here with XP records for Duncan, but yeah, they've since been beaten, right? We've got one in there, 3,600 and 3,700, right? So those were pretty good back in the day. That was kind of earlier when the ship had released and I was having fun with it and playing it quite a bit. But yeah, somebody else, right, more recently, well, May 2024, right, had beaten my record. But yeah, I think I've got that game out there. You could search like Duncan, you could search, Phoenix 6-1 and Duncan. I'm sure you'd find that game on YouTube for me, right? But yeah, this is really cool. But I think, right, the challenge is because of the balancing changes they do every update, right? These would be, impossible to beat in some cases, depending on how they tweak and change the ship. So that's why I kind of think we should have a leaderboard for every season, right? For every campaign season, and then refresh it, and then have some sort of reward, right? If you did get maybe, I don't know, number one, maybe, it's always going to be tough to get, but maybe like top 3 spots, right? Top 3 XP earners for that ship. Maybe you get like a unique camouflage for that, only for that particular ship, right? Something to show off that you have, some sort of accomplishment, right? I feel like the game kind of lacks that luster, right? So we'll look at Michelangelo, for example, right? So you go into your your loadout, basically, right? And you could go and you can select your camouflage on here, and I got this permanent one from because we got it as the campaign ship. But you could put all the standard ones on here, and then there's all sorts of collaboration ones all the time that come through, and event ones that you get, right? So if I'm in say top 3 scores of within the top 3 scoring for the season for that particular ship for that campaign season, then give me a cool camo, right? That's unique. That just shows that you've accomplished that, or something to show my value, right? Because we get there every once in a while. We have some good scores, but I do like the permanent standard camo that comes with the ship. So I never altered it, right? So there's a lot of ships where they come with something, I'm like, that's boring, and I use a different one, right? So, but you can make a permanent camo out of any of them, right? You just hold X on it when you get it, right? But so number 5, last but not least, is cost. Now this comes up every year, especially around the holiday season, which is what it was when I was doing the recording for this video. It's expensive. Honestly, it's our own fault, right? There's people out there buying the stuff, and so that's why it's so expensive, right? They're not stupid over at the developers, right? They're gonna charge as much as, right? When they see the drop off of people not stopping buying things, then they'll lower the price. But we keep buying it, so they keep the price high, right? But yeah, for 47,000 doubloons, you're looking at 150 American dollars. I'm over in the States, right? And sometimes there's coupons. There's none right now, or I used them already. This $100 deal for this New Year's, right? Sometimes, during the holiday, there was some sales on doubloons, right? So I took advantage of that, and that's why I have quite a few right now. And I'm going to try, we're to see how long it lasts me, right? But there's things in here that I just kind of drive me nuts, right? This is called a random bundle, and what it is it's like a slot machine, basically. You go in here and you can buy them all, right? And to buy all of this one, it's 52,500 doubloons, which was more than $150, right? It was $47,000. But this is the only way to get these couple of ships and this commander right now, at least at the time of recording. So if you absolutely want to have every ship in the game, you've got, right, and they're good at, like, FOMO, right? They're good at the fear of missing out, right? If you don't buy this, it might be a really great ship, and you won't have it, right? But there's plenty of ships, guys. There's plenty. But otherwise, you could buy them individually, and then it's going to randomly give you 3 items for the next purchase, right? So this 4 wins one, it's the same thing, right? Here, there's 4 ships in there. 2 of them are returning ones, or at least ones that I already had, so you can see that it says obtained down there. And then, like, this was the holiday containers this year, right? These mystic boxes and mystic lanterns. And like, this was at least over $300 at least to get all the way through this. This is called a chained bundle. So you got to buy the first one, then you can buy the next one, then you can buy the next one, right? And so that was kind of the only way to, right, those white chests, that was the only way to purchase those white containers outright. Otherwise, you had to get lucky and get them in a different container, right? And then also during the holiday season this past year, right, was this chained bundle, right? So it's another scenario where you got to buy all of these things all in a row, right? And then you could unlock this ship. And at the time, this is the only way to get this ship. And so it says 17,500 doubloons, but you've got to spend, right, all those other doubloons and all through that chain to get up to there. And I did the math on it. It's about $300 worth of doubloons to get that ship. So $300 for a digital ship. I realize that some people don't look at it that way. They say, well, you get all this other stuff too. I'm like, well, but you still had to spend $300 to get that particular ship, or almost, right? But yeah, so it's just too much money for me, so I didn't do it, right? And then these mystic lanterns, like, these were kind of the containers to get this, you know, at the end of 2026, that have small chances to drop premium ships in them. Now, if you go, right, I've talked about this before, you can go and hit show details and go to their website and see what the actual percent chances are for what ships. But, like, I feel like every year they've shrunk that down, and that's kind of, you know, that's a little rough on the wall. They've shrunk down your chances of getting ships. But anyway, that's going to be my video for the day, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me, right? Check down below and see if you have an option to hype my video if you're watching it and you're signed in on your personal account, right? If it's within the first few days of showing, you might have an option to hype the video. You might have to scroll over to see that. And then special thanks to channel members. These are the folks that are supporting me at time of recording this video. If you're interested in becoming a channel member, check out the members section on my YouTube page. Otherwise, I try to do World of Warships Legends videos every day. Please drop a like and leave a comment to appease the algorithm overlords, right? That's always helpful for me as well. But yeah, we do Legends videos pretty much every day. I do a lot of opinion stuff like this, but most of them are gameplay and kind of how-tos and tutorials and stuff. So make sure you are at minimum subscribed. That is helpful to me too. And we will see you guys again next time. Thank you.